Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Justice and asks, is it his view that the justice system should provide rehabilitation and give people the chance to change?
The Honourable Simon Power.
Mr. Speaker, yes, where appropriate.
Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he agree with Peter Williams QC that the justice system should give recognition to rehabilitation and repentance, and that the David Garrett case clearly demonstrates why it is valuable to recognise repentance?
The Honourable Simon Power.
Mr. Speaker, with respect to the first part of that question, I've already said that in relation to matters regarding rehabilitation, where appropriate, that is the case. With respect to the second part of the question, I don't have any ministerial responsibility for that particular issue.
Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he agree with the comments by Garth McVicker of Sensible Sentencing Trust? His comment that David Garrett deserves a second chance. If so, how does that approach sit with the punitive and irrational three strikes policy adopted by his government?
The Honourable Simon Power.
Mr. Speaker, in respect of issues of rehabilitation, I've already answered the question, yes, where appropriate. In respect of the second matter relating to the three strikes legislation, government policy has seen that legislation introduced, and my understanding is it's working well.
Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he support the clean slate legislation brought in by the Greens with support of others, which wipes the convictions of people who committed crimes in their youth but have since stayed on the straight and narrow? Or does he share the view of the ACT Party that such laws are anti-morality and seek to airbrush history?
The Honourable Simon Power.
Mr. Speaker, the government has no plans to change the clean slate legislation.
Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he agree that Mr. Garrett's actions from over 20 years ago show why we need a justice system which has a quality of mercy and that allows for the possibility that people can change?
Before I call on the Minister, he has made it very clear he has no responsibility for any actions by Mr. Garrett. The member may just rephrase that question. I won't a little more to try and bring it more within standing orders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he agree that the actions of people who do things many years ago that they since come to regret show why we need a justice system that has a quality of mercy and that allows for the possibility that people can change?
The Honourable Simon Power.
Mr. Speaker, I've already said broadly where appropriate that is the case. But as you'll be aware, Mr. Speaker, Speaker's ruling 1524 indicates members can ask hypothetical questions, but ministers do not need to respond to the hypotheses.
Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he believe that everyone is human and that the justice system needs to give everyone an opportunity for redemption, even when their actions are offensive and hurtful to the families affected? And does he believe his government's adoption of the three strikes policy reflects those beliefs?
Honourable Simon Power.
Speaker, most people I have met are human.
Dr. Russel Norman.
Does he agree? Does he agree that while it is a natural and very human reaction, does he agree that it is a natural and human reaction to want revenge when someone close to us is hurt by crime? We cannot build a justice system that is effective at keeping people safe by basing it on a philosophy of an eye for an eye, and that his government policy is taking us down that route led by the ACT Party.
The Honourable Simon Power.
No, I don't believe that government policy is leading us down that route at all. It's a combination of different policy strands, some of which are preventative, some of which are rehabilitative, some of which relate to sentencing and the punitive end of the justice system.
The Honourable Annette King.
How many chances to change does he believe people should get? And does he agree with David Garrett MP, who said after receiving 2 warnings of the consequences, we must assume that the offender will go on committing similar offences?
The Honourable Simon Power.
Mr Speaker, with respect to the first part of the honourable member's question, the number of chances will vary on a case-by-case basis.
Question number 2, the Honourable Annette King.